Earlier this year, Jerry Seinfeld was making the rounds in the media promoting his Pop-Tart movie, Unfrosted, and he took that opportunity to rail against the politically correct culture that he said at the time was ruining comedy for everyone. And now he has updated his point of view on this to make it more socially acceptable. He has backtracked completely, and now he claims he regrets saying that and that he was wrong. So I'm just going to read to you what he originally said.
This is why you're the one in charge of this podcast, because
I'm in charge.
Yeah, that's why you're in charge
to me.
Yeah, I'm saying, because like if I was reading this, I would just assume that everyone's read the original.
Oh,
because we talk about this stuff so much, you forget that you have to go back through.
Well, let's not forget. Let's hold Seinfeld accountable
for his past comments.
So this is what he said in his interview with The New Yorker. I think this was 6 months ago. He said, "It used to be that you would go home at the end of the day and people would go, oh, Cheers is on, MASH is on, oh, Mary Tyler Moore is on, All in the Family is on. Where is it? Where is it? This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap and people worrying so much about offending other people. When you write a script and it goes through 4 or 5 different hands, committees, groups, here's our thought about this joke. Well, that's the end of your comedy. With certain comedians now, people are having fun with them stepping over the line and us all laughing about it. But again, it's the stand-ups that really have the freedom to do it because no one else gets the blame if it doesn't go down well. He or she can take all the blame themselves." And he basically went on to say that the culture is bogged down by worrying about sensitivities and its political correctness, wokeness, etc., etc. Now, when we covered this, I said this is annoying because you waited until 2024 to talk about sensitivity in the world of comedy and you're Jerry Seinfeld, and now people are, patting you on the back for it. It just didn't seem like anything but convenient timing to me.
Yes.
Because you're waiting for other people to solve the problem before you point it out.
A lot of people have been doing that. So there was a clip going around yesterday. I think Dom Lucra posted it. It was an old clip of Snoop Dogg saying like, F Donald Trump and he's a racist and all his fans are racist, or all his supporters are racist. But it was like an old clip, and he had like since come around earlier this year to be like, yeah, I don't know, he's not such a bad guy. It's like, and then everybody's like, oh, I always thought I liked that guy.
I always liked the
cut of his jib. Yeah.
So it's just people coming around to a certain issue that they deemed crazy previously in previous years where it was less fashionable.
Well, look, people were
that's
saying,
what it seemed like to me.
People were saying yesterday that Jim Gaffigan was at the dinner last night, and he was the Al Smith dinner or whatever. And Jim Gaffigan is a famously anti-Trump guy who got schooled about J6 by Joe Rogan last year. People are allowed to learn new things and change their perspective, but you should always be hesitant when it comes to celebrities doing this, because
why they're doing it.
Yes. So the idea here is like, look, yes, you're allowed to grow, change your perspectives, find new information that leads you down a different path. But then you have to wonder, is it that, or is it just, this is socially acceptable now, thus I am going to take this position?
And are they pandering to you, trying to sell something to you, including
so buy my new
Pop-Tart movie?
Yeah.
So Jerry Seinfeld went back on these comments the other day. He expressed regret in this recent interview on a podcast. He said, I did an interview with The New Yorker. I said that the extreme left has suppressed the art of comedy. I did say that, and that's not true. It's not true. There were 2 things that I have to say I regret saying and I have to take back. One of them I didn't say, but people think I did, so just the same. I said I don't play colleges because the kids are too PC and you can't do comedy for them. Seinfeld said he never said that, and he noted that he plays colleges all the time, including the Duke University commencement speech literally this year.
Yeah, that was earlier this year.
I have no problem with kids performing for them. So that's funny because the last time that we talked about Jerry Seinfeld making his original comments about political correctness, I was like, weird, this is new for him. Mm-hmm. And everyone in the comments is like, no, he was just calling college students woke. Well, I don't know what to believe anymore because Seinfeld himself said he never said that.
Yep.
And he says that he basically, needs to answer for it regardless because people think that he said that.
I mean, that's actually a very interesting separate discussion you could have about
the narrative.
It doesn't matter whatever you actually say, because what you'll end up having to answer for or respond to will be how what you've said is interpreted, not what your actual words are. Me and you have this discussion all the time off air about the infuriating nature of having your words be misinterpreted. For me, it's one of those things where speaking almost feels pointless sometimes, because very rarely, and this is more a fault of my own, where I feel like the point I'm trying to make in the actual spirit of whatever my argument is or whatever this discussion is, very rarely is ever captured.
Well, you're rarely going to even understand what you mean, let alone expect anyone else to.
Correct.
So that is a struggle that I understand. Seinfeld is using the Uno reverse card on his comments to Tom Papa on his podcast. This was the recent interview. He said, does culture change, and are there things I used to say that I can't say, that everybody is always moving? Yeah, but that's the biggest, easiest target. You can't say certain words, whatever they are, about groups. So what? So he entirely backtracked, and now he thinks that it's okay, and it might actually be a good thing that the culture has deemed certain words about certain groups unacceptable.
The second part of his comment there, he says, the accuracy of your observation has to be 100 times finer than that just to be a comedian. I'll give you an example of somebody who does it really, really well, and that's Ryan Long. So when he made woke versus racist, right? When he made the thing about a celebrity, whether they should support Israel or Palestine, he is a very good example of someone who can find an issue and dig through it and bring out a nuanced bit of humor that is still doable. And Joe Rogan has said this as well, where he said, whoever said you can't do comedy anymore is full of shit. Like, you can still do comedy. People are still doing comedy specials. None of that is true. Now, if you want to talk about how comedy is perceived through mainstream press or the type of humor that you're going to find on network television or basic cable, yeah, that's a little bit different. But you made a really interesting observation earlier where you said it's not comedy that's died. It's the ability to be funny with people you only kind of know.
Yeah. Stand-up specials, that's free. That, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Dave Chappelle exists, right?
Yes.
But maybe comedy isn't under attack the way that humor itself is under attack.
Correct.
And you are not actually in a place in the culture where you feel free to make off-color jokes with acquaintances, perhaps people that you aren't the most comfortable with yet, the people you aren't extremely close with that you can't trust not to record you surreptitiously saying something offensive as a joke.
Everybody's
that's really the attack on comedy that's happening. It's not about famous comedians. It's about normal people's ability to crack jokes.
Have you seen them? There's a whole meme, like there's a whole sub meme of like me combing through my friends list to show who I can send this particular meme to. Like, you tailor your meme sending abilities depending on the person.
Yeah, it's that stepping on eggshells that affects normal people. And I said before that cancel culture affects normal people, not celebrities.
Exactly. Somebody in the chat just said, Orrin Montgomery says that's because Dave Chappelle has FU money.
Exactly.
Yes, and he'll get that special with Netflix because he's a guaranteed draw for them. Right? When Jerry makes those comments about the accuracy of your observations and he talks about you can't say certain words, whatever they are, versus groups, so what? Well, that's because that's what we call pulling the ladder up behind you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a different story when somebody records you on Snapchat saying something that's, an off-color joke, and then you get your college admission revoked.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're not Jerry Seinfeld, you're not Dave Chappelle, you're not Jim Gaffigan or any of these people who essentially have, not entirely, but they have, for the most part, free range to joke about whatever they want.
I also remember, maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I remember comments a long time ago about Jerry Seinfeld saying that YouTube was like the worst thing for comedy. Like,
really?
it kind of seemed like he was more in the camp of like, we need the ivory tower.
That's a little bit of a boomer take because I think that people who do sketch comedy on social media are far more creative than
I still think
the establishment on SNL.
Instagram skits are still a far better place to find creative comedy. Yeah. You just showed me one before the show of a lady who made this.
She made a music video about her boyfriend breaking up with her, basically,
and it was great. I actually made a contrary point. I said 20 years ago she would have channeled us into making a great romantic comedy or like some movies, and you said starring Kirsten Dunst, and that's probably true. But now it becomes an exercise in narcissism where you turn your creativity inwards to deal with your own problems.
I mean, I don't think that YouTube ruined comedy. I think that it changed the landscape such that something like SNL will not exist as it once did.
It won't have the relevance that it used to.
SNL skits, if you watch them now and you're like an actual boomer who still watches cable television, you're not gonna understand anything they're talking about.
Nope.
Like, they're making the most chronically online jokes on SNL that only make sense to like stan Twitter. They're like joking about Moo Dang, Chapel Roan, and like, I don't even know. Like, they're like making jokes about Troye Sivan's like Rush music video. Like, who is writing this shit? No, like, I get the joke because I'm 24, but who the fuck is watching this who understands what you're talking about?
It's actually really funny.
It's not relatable.
I would say that is a fault of the network. So
yeah, who's tuning in?
Okay, so here's the idea. Network TV. Your idea is you want the 18 to 49 demographic. That's your magical advertising demo, meaning that you get the highest ad rates for larger viewing demographics within those age ranges. Here's the problem. The only people watching Saturday Night Live are not the 18 to 49 demographic. You should correspondingly have older writers writing for you. But the problem is they also want to include stuff like current events and politics because they can't stay away from it. So they mix it all together when really they should have boomer writers.
Like, why are you writing skits about Charlie XCX and Brat Summer? I'm sorry, boomers don't know what that is.
Yes.
It doesn't compute to me. Now, I want to temper what I said earlier that these established comedians just have free range to do whatever they want. That's not entirely true. Andrew Schultz just found that out the hard way by interviewing Trump. He found out that he received significant backlash for interviewing Trump and, in fact, lost access to some venues that he had booked for his comedy shows. So on his recent podcast episode for Flagrant, him and his co-host discussed their impressions of the interview and the reactions to it. He claimed that a venue for one of his stand-up shows in New York City abruptly canceled just hours after his interview with Trump came out. And he also claimed that the Brooklyn Academy of Music suddenly dropped his booked shows at the venue after the interview aired, which they deny, which is strange. But he said, it's not like we might do it here. It was booked. It was ready to go. We're going on sale this week. We have the entire production team come out for this. It's ready to go. And 3.5 hours after the interview, they cancel shows.
Well, it's Brooklyn.
I mean, what did you expect?
The only thing that could have been worse if it was Williamsburg.
It's not like he had this... he didn't have a reputation for being super politically correct, though, to begin with.
No,
Andrew
he
Schultz.
No, he doesn't.
So I don't know why they are overreacting like this, but he continued, read the email because they're canceling my shows, but they're also begging Live Nation to not cancel future shows with them. Like they still want business, just not this guy.
That's
I don't know if
capitalism.
it's because of the Trump interview, but the day before it came out, we were ready to go and we were going on sale this week.
It's the worst approach to capitalism you can possibly have, right? Where it's you have the right type of person for the show, which makes sense in some respects. Like certain types of, for instance, there is the right type of comedian for the right type of venue, I suppose. Like a comedy show in a certain city might not draw as well, depending on how politically correct that area is.
Brooklyn,
I don't know. But I would be willing to bet that none of that would matter. That if they just let it go as planned, things would go off without a hitch. Every time this has happened to him before, when they've canceled his shows, he gets another venue and then sells out.
Right.
Instantly.
Just why do these people hate money? I will never understand it.
They do hate money. They don't, well, because they think that your money is bad.
Your money is dirty money.
They don't want your money.
So he actually put up the email he received from this venue on screen on his podcast. And it says in the email, after some internal discussion with leadership, it was decided that, what was it called? Brooklyn Academy of Music is not the right fit for this show at this time. That said, we appreciate you reaching out and we'd love to work with you on future events that might be a better match. Our door is open for a chat about other shows you think might work well in our space. Thanks for considering us. Looking forward to collaborating down the line.
Is this just they're worried that there's positive buzz around Trump and him talking, so it would be bad to do it around election time? Is this election interference?
He said that he found it interesting the venue would drop his appearances just hours after his interview dropped before, quote, the liberal media spun it in liberals' favor. F them and F them forever. I can't say for sure what it is. He doesn't know because they didn't say what their real reason was.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.